Yo yo yo, welcome back, kembali lagi bersama Edzi Hypebeast Gamer. Bro, kembali lagi live, kita main PUBG malam ini. Nanti kita juga sambil nonton Valorant lagi line turnamen. Jiwa main Valorant gua bergejolak lagi nih gara-gara line turnamen. Tapi kita main PUBG dulu. Iya lo.
Region, but I'm excited, and I'm actually excited that all of us came here together for this week, Massive 2, to watch NA just run through it all. But seriously, I'm excited for our very first international land.
International land first. Yo yo yo, mantap.
Yeah, we have. It's been a little while though, so it's good. It's good to catch up with you. But more important, how's DJ doing? Because I miss him.
One esports broadcast can't go by mentioning DJ. He's doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. How are you doing, buddy?
Good.
Good.
Oh, I'm doing well. Just hanging out here. It's almost midnight in Korea, but that's fine. I have the energy of these matches to carry me through the evening, so I'm ready to see who's going to be coming out on top today.
And Lothar, I've waited so long to finally get to work with you on something, and here we are. How you doing, buddy? All the way in Europe.
I'm so good, man. Who would have thought we're gonna work together at Diamond, right? It's insane how, the Tyson and so on. But I cannot wait. By the way, we're like in a secret level, right? We're in a waterfall.
Yeah.
The beginning.
Yeah.
You guys are in a waterfall. I got all this smoke around me and stuff. It's gonna be a wild day. I can't wait. But we have a lot of interesting storylines as we enter into our first day of competition. Now, Achilles, what are you looking forward to the most today?
I don't think I'm alone in this, but seeing how Korea is going to do internationally. There's been so much talk about the Korean region since they started getting involved in Valorant. Obviously, everyone is expecting Vision Strikers to be the representatives here, but it's in fact NewTurn who are the better team at the end of the day. They plowed their way through here, and now we get to see how Korea is going to compete against the West, against the other Asian teams that we have here, as well as Latin America, etc. A lot of it is on the back of Solo, this guy on your screen right now. He is an absolute veteran. 33 years old, one of the oldest players out there in just about any esport at this stage. He's the IGL, he's a veteran, comes from CS on teams like MVP, has beaten teams like SK, Fnatic, Mouse in CSGO. He is a foundation of NewTurn. He rallies the squad when they're behind, he tempers their expectations when they're ahead, make sure that they don't get complacent and can stay focused on
Gua mau share gimana ya,
It's very
anjing.
exciting to see not just what NewTurn
Share.
but obviously all of Korean esports and attack FPS. It's something that I think we're all very excited for. But one region, Lothar, that has always
Share.
stood above the rest in this particular genre of FPS has
anjing,
been
salah.
EU. What's EU bringing to the table here
Share
today
to
at Valorant Masters 2?
share to pets.
The year is bringing humbleness,
Yeah.
We're known as the region that sets up the metagame, right? People are always making fun of the no duelist compositions coming from EU, but somehow the changes coming from EU are always adapted by the other regions. And I'm gonna anticipate this is something that we're gonna see in this tournament. We might, we had almost a month for Fnatic and Liquid to prepare something new for this tournament, and something that maybe other teams will not see coming. And I anticipate a lot of maybe not even duelist less compositions, maybe just one duelist, and maybe some Sky composition Viper. This is something that I'm anticipating. The stylistic differences between the regions is something that is gonna shine today.
Yeah, for sure. And EU, what better region to do so? Now, Belly, North America, we've been struggle city in a lot of different esports for the last few days now. What are we expecting here from our region, North America? What should we be looking out for?
nothing but dominance. But like Lothar said, NA is looking to shine right now. And it's not just about Sentinels. I'm going to have to give a big shout out to version 1. I have to show them love. But you know what? We have to expect the unexpected. Jammies is going to be in for Whippy, and like Vanity was talking about yesterday, there is such a big difference in playstyles, even the ages. We're talking about a duelist compared to basically someone that runs the board on Viper. So to see the level of adaptation and see it version 1 and Sentinels along with these
that they are going to be able to perform and attack everything.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We'll be tuning in with them in a little bit. But not only do we have a $600,000 prize pool for Masters 2, we actually have a whole lot of circuit points that are going to be awarded to the 10 teams competing this week, with first place collecting 400 points. That is a fair amount, if I don't say so myself. And the action starts in the upper bracket today. First up is Europe's Fnatic versus LATAM's Brew Esports, followed by NA's own version 1 facing off against Crazy Raccoon from Japan. And finally, we end the day with a banger. Brazil's YMG Sharks will be taking on New Turn from Korea. I mean, you got yourself some amazing games that are going to be lined up. And we're kicking things off today with EU taking on LATAM, our first taste of international competition. And Fnatic find themselves in this position because they couldn't quite take the first place here.
Da-da-da-da. Solo dulu kita, show dulu.
That was something that many teams adapted to, and mostly Ascend with the difference on the jet with CNET, but in general.
Oke, Dan, nggak ada orang, Dan. Cipet. Painkiller extended, ambil dulu. Ini ambil. Tas 3 ambil. Kebablasan ngentot. Kosong. Mantap banget. Ke rumah bawah dulu.
Wih, main sama siapa, Mbak?
Main normal aja ini. Main sendiri.
Oh ya, main dulu, tunggu Revin. Revin lagi cuci sepeda.
Yo. Makanya saya main ini dulu, normal. Kau sudah kelar? Kau sudah kelar? Cak. Oh my god, feeling okay. Ganti aja lah. Dekat ya. X quick. Quick.
Gimana nih?
Oi,
Game enggak?
apa?
Tadi login.
Lagi nunggu Ica mereka, Ica Ido. Oi,
Tunggu Ido katanya 10 menit.
yo.
Oke.
Ini gua udah masuk tadi. Gak ada apa-apa di sini. Granat, gua ambil ini. Ambil. Gua ke arah mana ya? Gua ya. Udah ketemu barang ya. Anjing. Bawah ini ramai nih kayaknya. Jauh juga ya anjing. 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 Ntar gengs, sambil nunggu kita nonton Valorant dulu.
Left this open to to expect the 2-0 closeout, Lauren, honestly.
Yeah, if it goes all three, that's when we are gonna have to put a question mark potentially beside who wins it. But the man on the screen winning hearts and minds, it seems. The press conference for him, they discussed the map veto. Boaster aware that there was some faults, there were some flaws, and yes, in a best of 5 grand final, you could see them being pushed. However, best of 3 to begin with, they should be able to operate comfortably. But again, for the people out there who depend too much on statistics, for example, they'll look at Icebox, they'll look at Crew and go, they've got it sewn up in the bag, but it's only 3 played games. Yes, they were good games, but again, that's within a region we don't get to see too often. And this is the chance to actually see, are they really a dark horse? What is that level of competition coming in? These are all questions we can start reiterating once we get into the game. There's no point over hashing it. I know everyone's been out there kind of dedicated to the crumb trail. They've been trying to hoover up of both these teams. Oh, what's going to happen? But there is a real threat with Crew. I think Achilleo said low expectations, and I almost disagree. I think they've actually got some quite high expectations from not only their region, but a lot of the analysts out there. I mean, you've got your plaque chatters out there, you know, a couple of pieces and a couple of people definitely giving them a little bit of room. Maybe because of the playstyle that we've heard of, maybe because, hey, they run very similar comps to EU. They've got a little bit of that stylistic matchup that could be interesting, but do you think it's enough to best Fnatic?
Well, I mean, that's the thing, right? In terms of expectations, yes, this is a huge opportunity for effectively put the region on the map, right? A big kind of, is anomaly the right word? To be drawn up against Fnatic as well. It's, like you said, we're taking inspiration in certain aspects from strategies, compositions, but this really is the real test. It's like, you know, can they do it better than Fnatic, right?
Isn't that just the quandary on most of our minds? And of course, as the players settle in, we will start looking towards the agent select as soon as they are comfortable. There's no rush on that really, because I'm just happy we get a LAN. Like, can we be honest here? Like, I know we're doing the whole like hype thing, it's Masters, but like we're on LAN. We get to see regions now playing each other that, again, you can theory craft and you can analyze, you can pore over the replays and you can read into it what you will, but finally we get that real litmus test of, okay, are Fnatic going to be able to get over those nerves, right? It's a big point for them. They made big roster changes and it worked out to at least get to here. But now they're on the stage, they're young guns, they brought in new firepower. It was a bit of a plug and play, as Boaster did say. It wasn't a super hard change up in that aspect, but still, it is new players, new environment. And, well, they already said on the desk that Crew, they've already kind of, you know, I guess had their mettle tested in a LAN environment, and hey, they won things. So this is going to be a little bit of a telling sign as to what to expect in the bigger picture. And from what I've heard, Fnatic haven't been showing too much off it. They've been trying to keep a little bit of their practice quiet when it comes to scrimming other teams at Iceland.
I think it's no secret that Fnatic are going to play their cards very close to their chest in this aspect. But again, game one, day one, do we see Fnatic really dig deep in the playbook, bring out some of the, you know, that's Summon FC geekiness, right? That was initially what put them on the map. Whether or not we're going to see it early on, I mean, really depends whether or not Crew can test them. That's my honest opinion, yeah, Lauren.
It's going to be tough to decide between the two, and I don't envy the analysts having to make predictions, and I'm going to just not do it. So, you know, I'll just say I'm excited to see how it goes, but I'm trying to think of agent select here when it comes down to these maps. Now, of course, Fnatic were one of the teams that did bring the new meta into effect. They were one of the first to kind of highlight what can be used. However, they do shy a little away from Astra, for example. They do utilize her when needed, but not constantly. It's a little bit of a here and there thing. For example, Brimstone gets brought in instead, and even said that they just feel it's a little more viable in what they want to do with it. Do we think we're going to see any big meta changes on the agent select, or do you think it's going to be playing to safety?
I mean, much as the point I just made, I don't think we're going to see anything crazy in game one here, unless, you know, things get...
Wah, berat.
You know, we start pushing
Ngapa?
towards the desperation.
Belum ada yang masuk di Discord.
Berat.
Experimenting with things. I mean, if we look at composition-wise, I don't think there's massive differences in terms of, you know, play-style-wise, what we're going to be expecting to see out of both teams, Crew and Fnatic. I mean, obviously, previously on Haven in particular, Fnatic started messing with some of those kind of set plays with Astra that looked fantastic, right? And I mean, expectations-wise with Crew on, particularly on defense, if they leave that to chance and they kind of give Fnatic any space at all in the early round, we know how quick Fnatic are to punish that.
Seems as though they are just going to get themselves set up. It may take a second or two, but this does mean that you guys at home can start telling me your predictions. I always want to hear it. Use the hashtag, of course, get on Twitter. I want to know who you guys are predicting this. And don't just give me a name. Give me a little reason as to why. Give me a little bit of a... See, look at this guy. See, you want to vote? You want to vote against him? No, you can't. You can't. You can't. The moves. But there is something to be said about having someone like Boaster to lighten the mood for the team. These are young players, and we'll say it time and time again. We'll have to constantly go over because it is a big point that at this point you do need someone who's going to be that emotional lift. And I think a couple of people were surprised seeing the likes of Yampy, for example, through the vlogs that Liquid were doing, being such a
Read offline, berat.
of a mood lift,
Kemana dia?
refocuser, someone to bring them
Itu dia,
back to that
keluar,
element,
coba
which is
telepon.
incredibly imperative. So I feel as though Boaster does play a big role in this, and it does add to the weight on the shoulders, right? It's something that is gonna have to be brought up. That
Tuh masuk pula dia.
you gotta hope for Boaster's sake they're all in the right place.
Sudah ready tau dia.
The mindsets are right.
Tinggal
because
Raven
it's hard to lift
berarti.
them back up if they do start on a downward trend. Emotional players, highest highs, lowest lows, but they have the structure, and that's something we can't say enough. And I've got to say it, Crew do as well. They're a team to me that have constantly
MS merek apa ya?
when it comes to that. They have that kind of surround to them. They have the strategic approach that gives them that safety as individuals.
Udah pada ready, Pak.
Just need that, you know,
Hah?
I guess rolling it back, 10
Ya, ya.
friends, scream and team, right? You can play as a collective, you get to have all of it.
Yeah, I think you know, if we look back, we
MS. Oh, MS Microsoft. Anjing.
Anak.
Whether or not Crew can really find value from some of these more unorthodox rounds. I mean, some of the biggest losses we've seen from Fnatic regionally have been versus teams that they're able to really embrace the chaos of playing a very fast and loose game and switching things up constantly round by round. Now for Crew, they need to be able to
Bukan,
nail
anjing.
those rounds consistently.
Ih, siapa yang nggak masuk? Ed?
Saya masuk. Kau udah masuk?
Iya.
Okay,
Iya.
so let's then talk about win.
Anak.
Cabutlah, cabut. Live.
Time, so you know, keep yourselves locked in. Don't worry.
Live aja ya.
Well, we're here with you, but it does mean we can kind of talk a little more nonsense.
Lagi berapa detik kah?
Now, win conditions.
Sudah keluar saya.
Let's start with
Dulu.
Fnatic, right? It's the easier go-to. We've seen them a lot, especially as we are more predominantly EU casters. So, in your mind, let's set the bar, right? Let's let's talk about those win conditions that get them this game, and then we'll flip the.
Kau
script
masuk apa enggak?
as well.
Enggak.
What do you see being, let's say, 2 or 3 key components that would create that avenue for them to collect this victory?
I mean, honestly, the win conditions for Fnatic are being able to really nail those choreographed rounds. I think overall those are the ones that make it very, very difficult for a team to adapt to on the fly, because Fnatic have so many of them, right? We know the playbook is so deep for Fnatic. Now, really, again, from what I just mentioned, it's some of those unorthodox rounds that are the ones that can be Fnatic's demise, right? And then you see a kind of snowball effect of, you know, they keep doubling down with this early round aggression on defense, and it gets punished time and time again. Because they're so eager to try and condition the enemy team into doing certain things. If that doesn't happen, then it's almost like, actually, in terms of being versatile and adapting to those things, Fnatic have struggled in the past.
Okay. So then we'll take that as a starting point. Let's flip it to Crew. Let's talk about what you see being potentially their gateway into this, because I think the map will definitely caught your eye in that regard.
Yeah, particularly on Haven, it's going to rely a lot on Crew finding value from kind of their default setup, because there's not a lot of contingency plans in Crew's gameplay, right? It's very slow, it's very methodical, but they play very, very deep, and they respond to any information they're given, right? But it's not usually, you know, 2 or 3 players coming in. There's not really any secondary layer to that default, right?
Right.
As soon as they find contact, it's usually a 1-for-1 trade or a 2-for-1 trade. And actually, more often than not, when that doesn't go in their favor, it's very difficult for them to recover rounds.
Okay, so we'll keep our eyes on it. And I think this is something that could be a misconception for potentially some people who maybe either watched previous games, previous FPS titles, especially, you know, the likes of CS. When you think LATAM, when you think of these sort of regions, you think hyper-aggression. However, I don't think Crew necessarily play to that. They play a very considered game style. Now, for me, when I think about this, I also then consider, well, how often do they get tested in that region? How often does someone know what they're doing, have a counter to it, and potentially run it themselves? I'd say Fnatic play very much a similar aspect of game as their opponents do. This isn't necessarily a massive mismatch of playstyle. This is quite similar, but I just don't know the depth of crew yet, and that's my big point that I'm going to be looking for is when things either get worked out, get considered, get maybe even countered, where's that next step going to come from?
And also, you talk about crew and the default setup. That's really going to be tested here. We know once Fnatic are able to set the pace and take rounds on their terms, then they just continue to punish. They can put you in a stranglehold and things really spiral out of control. So, Fnatic are playing confidently. Expect them to really flex out on their defensive half.
And expectation-wise, let's kind of drill it in on map 1, which would be Haven, if I'm not mistaken. Where do you see this? Let's talk about kind of expected favor of the map, right? Like let's
anjing follow gua semua.
take account for results and kind of ignore the fact of potentially the different regions.
Let's go. Beratnya enggak ada yang masuk ya.
Ya.
Lagi membucin. Cuma cerah. 1, 2, 3. Tuh 2, 3.
Oh, berat.
Berat.
Pin. Berat, Ed.
Kenapa?
Berat. Baru masuk di Discord.
Berat. Nggak sampai ya kayaknya ya, jauh ya.
Sampai, Pak.
Hah?
Di mana kah? Oh, jauh, Cuk. Mecah. Kiri aja, Pak. Oh, ada orang di kiri.
Ini aja di bawah langsung.
Ya, di bawah aja lah. Wah, video call nih Raven nih.
Yo, Bray.
Tahu, Bray.
Ketemu orang gua parangin nih di sini nih.
Iya.
Ini ada top. Mantap. Ini ada M4 nih kalau mau nih di sini.
Ya dong.
Ini ada tactical juga di sini, ada M4.
Wah, baru muncul Ed. Berat.
Berat.
Ini itu juga lagi video. Ica.
Ya.
Game over, Mak.
Hah?
Game over.
Bisa.
Sudah toh, sudah ngaku.
Woi, lagi live.
Live.
Oh, lagi live.
Welcome back, guys.
Aduh. Bentar lah ini, Dok.
Oh, yang mau main.
Aku
Ngeri ya?
mabuk
Setengah mati kepadamu.
Ngeri ya.
Kurang-kurangin kodok.
Gua turunnya.
Bucin betul.
Apa bucin, sudah saya mabok keblem mah.
Salah di.
Kok ngegas, Bray?
Iya.
Iya, kok ngegas
Iya,
lu?
Bray. Gua habis dari hawe sama bini gua, Bray.
Oh, iya.
Masa?
Iya, Bray.
Gua tembak juga lu, ke ngegas-ngegas gitu.
Wah, nembak aja, Bray. Gua gak
Kalau
sanggup
berdua
lagi,
doang
Bray.
nggak ngajak Ica?
Biasa, Bray.
Lagi anget.
Anget, ya.
Salah, Bray. Ngajaknya jam 9, jam
Anjing.
7, anjing. Jam 8 ke haus.
Tunda hawe di sini tuh jam 10, Cuk.
Berat.
Berat.
Jadi sekarang,
Berat.
jadi sekarang udah nggak ajak lagi, Cak. Dia, Cak.
Udah, malas Bray, ajak dia, Bray. Selalu takut, Bray, sama bininya.
Anjing.
Berat.
Jam 8 malam, bos.
Berat.
Aduh.
Namanya pemabuk lupa waktu, cu.
Aduh, pena komen gue nih. Anjay.
Nah, komen ya, Bray ya.
Sedih banget gua kenal lu orang begitu. Aduh.
Berat.
Lemah.
Lu sedih, Bray. Gua udah mabok, Bray. Terserah lu ngomong apa, Bray.
Live.
Ah, bodoh.
Berat.
Iya, live. Halo, guys. Welcome back.
Berat. Saya matiin live dah.
Jangan, enggak apa-apa.
Biar kita bisa bergosip.
Enggak apa-apa, Bray. My life sekarang open book, Bray.
Deh. Ada bininya di samping tuh, Bray.
Nggak ada, Bray.
Fix ada itu.
Iya, ada
Fix.
yang datang.
Bunuhlah.
Takut amat.
Lewat dong. Muter ke sini dia. Nggak jadi.
Ada yang mau
Muter dong.
kompen DMR.
Mau. Saya kosong.
Ada yang datang tuh.
Muter. Kayaknya berhenti dia. Lagi ngetes angin dia.
Lari ini dia.
Gua ganti mutan aja deh.
Aku rindu.
Udah rindu, Pin. Bahaya, Pin.
Kenapa kok sudah pulang, Dok? Dari living.
Sudah
Jam
mabok.
10
Jam
tutup,
10
Cuk,
tuh.
di sini, Cuk.
Kenapa gitu?
Ya emang tutup anjing.
Wah,
Kurang kuat.
kurang kuat nih, Bray.
Mana
Nggak
ada?
ada Ica tidak mau temani
telepon.
saya.
Mana? Cak.
Di atas, Pak. Sini.
Oh
sini
iya.
Pak.
Oke.
Terpaksa gue pergi sama mantan gue.
Siapa tuh?
Mantan gue, Bray. Sekarang istri.
Oh
Ya
iya.
doh?
Yo.
Sebelah kayaknya link tuh. Halo Anseling.
Nggak ada nih, nggak ada. Lagi bebas, Bray. Gue, Bray.
Cing, pantes bawel. Gimana, Cak?
Ada
Kapan?
link malam su.
Kapan saya nggak bicara, Bray?
Cak, dah ada. Di mananya?
Di sini, Cuk.
Hah?
Kamu mau scoop 6 enggak?
Saya sudah ada tuh. Scoop 6.
Oh,
Hah? Gimana cara ke sana, Cuk?
dari luar, Pak. Ada lantai 2.
Oh, di luar. Astaga.
Astaga.
Naik tangga. Astaga. Mau scoop 8 nggak?
Sudah ada.
Astaga.
Ada yang datang.
Ada yang mau vertikal?
Cukup.
Astaga.
Mau dong gua, Bray.
Kau sini dah. Anjing mereka jauh gitu, ngehe minta.
Hah, mana mereka? Besna.
Anjing di bawah, Cuk.
Udah phase 3 dok. Ini dok. Dok, phase 3 dok.
Mana?
Kali 6.
Ada kali 6.
Saya mau kali 6.
Phase 3 lagi atas sini.
On the way. Sudah kau jangan.
Kali 6 lagi sini, Pak. Oh, udah.
Ada ini nggak? Mod depan buat AR.
Mod depan air, nggak ada, Bray.
Ini.
Weh, phase 3 lagi sini, Cuk. Ada deh banyak nih, Cuk.
On the way. Kalian jangan pakai percuma, kau mabok cepat mati. Cak, datang, Cak.
Offset. Wah, berat
ditembak sama.
Setembak kakimu, Meng.
Iya, berat. Hancur itu.
Gimana phase 3?
Itu rumahnya Revin tandai.
Hati-hati di atas kita, liatin ya ntar. Ini vertikal, Cak. Dok.
Sudah.
Ido.
Pak.
Sini. Gua lempar di depan rumah.
3 kah?
Iya. Ada yang datang. Udah aku lempar depan jalan ya.
Oh.
Wah, Revin berhenti.
Mana phase 3?
Di atas. Di atas, Pak. Naik ke atas.
Ya.
Tuh, Revin AFK.
Bucin.
Disconnect ya, itu. Sudah kau ambil kan, Dok?
Udah.
Scope 8 gua buang ya, nggak ada yang mau pakai kan?
Enggak.
Wih, kita maju dong. Ada botol minum nggak? Nggak ada botol minum, Pak. Anjing.
Nggak usah naik mobil lah ya.
Jalan lah, yuk. Yuk, naik Kak, Cak. Mana Repin berat nih?
Repin lagi bucin, Bray.
Habis putus setan.
Oh, oke.
Mending
Apa ini?
SLR mending pakai flash hider apa kompe ya?
Flash hider.
Kompen
Flash hider,
dong.
Pak.
Yang mana yang benar? Sunda lah.
Biar lebih stabil dong.
Ada botol minum nggak?
Ada sini.
Minum banyak.
Yuk, cakep.
Wah,
Hah? Kebuang semua?
kebuang semua, cu. Kasih 2 saya saja.
Udah.
Painkiller mau nggak?
Boleh. Satu aja. Udah pengecilan ya?
Udah. Wah, berat Ido. Silut.
Ada orang nih di rumah bawah nih pasti.
Hah?
Kayaknya di rumah bawah ada orang. Di atas kita bahaya banget.
Biar nggak terlalu mabuk, Bray.
Siapa yang nembak?
Saya tembak Revin.
Ido. Diriku hingga
Lari
saat
terus anjing. Naik mobil nggak?
jalan
Yuk.
cus.
Hah?
Ayo.
Ada mobil nggak?
Kau tuh kembali. Mungkin. Ih, nyepet.
Wah ini dibegal nih San Juan nih anjing. San Martin.
Nek.
Ngetot. Asli kena begal. Repin dapat mobil.
Bukan gue coy.
Hah?
Bukan gue.
Aduh.
Musuh. Udah kabur naik mobil. Wah mati kena zona kita mah ini. Wah konyol jauh banget. Mati zona anjing.
Belum, Bray. Masih dapat lah ya.
Dapat kalau nggak dibegal. Anjing. Goblok. Cak, ngapain lu diam? Anjing maju lagi ngetot. Bener-bener ini game. Bermain untuk berlari. Ada orang dekat, Revin. Dilempar bom, gua. Di rumah ada orang. Di atas gua ada orang. Wih, anjing di belakang gua. Yang ini udah mati belum?
Sudah.
Belum, Cak. Anjing, Cak. Di atas gua ada. Ya.
Laret. Ada orang di dalam rumah.
Kau masuk zona dulu, Cak.
Anjing.
Cheater ya?
Enggak. Ah, tenang, bre. Asin dari belakang, Mat.
Kan kena zona.
Tadi.
Udah kena zona itu pasti.
Oh, mati tadi.
Sekarat soalnya aku tembak.
Oh, di Jakarta.
Apa itu, Bray?
Dia lihat saya, tak?
Enggak.
Mana dia? Udah cabut? Masih di kiri kan tadi?
Jadi kiri kayak enggak ada. Itu lari.
Iya.
Itu lari dia. Ya, tembak. Oh, lari lagi. Dia lari lagi. Awas, ada tawannya. Mana?
Temennya mati nggak?
Belum. Mau di revive. Di sini di kanan, Net. Di kanan, Net.
Hah? Sabar.
Tadi ada orang. Kanan.
Kanan mana?
Coba ke kiri lagi sedikit.
Mati itu.
Oh, mati.
Sabar ya, lihat pro main. Mana temennya tadi ya?
Dia. Kanan, Pak.
Mana?
Anas.
Ya berarti dekat kita ada kan?
Darah.
Gila, masih 22 orang, Cok. Nggak ada minuman pula. Nggak ada. Overs S1. Ya Tuhan, zonanya sedih amat. Oh, kemana ya? Udah ada tempat berlindung tapi ya, Cak. Terlalu. Which terlalu. Wih. Dia lihat saya enggak ya? Tembak lah ya, Cak ya.
Wah anjing, ada temennya. Kuntul. Gue mau nembak dia biar kena zona. Rupanya masih ada open sana.
Aduh, cepat hilang lagi.
Iya anjing. Itu sakit banget. Gue pakai helm 2 hancur. Tererere.